Hello, this is Father Louis Skirty. I am here at Annunciation Church in Wayne, New Jersey. We're commemorating 9/11 in a very special way. Annually, we commemorate it by honoring the public servants of our community, police, firemen, firewomen, all the people who help us each day, and the first responders. So this Mass is a public servants memorial Mass, honoring all those who have served and do serve and will serve our community. We thank you for joining us. Father Peter, the pastor, will be homilist today. I'll be celebrant. The gospel choir from Straight and Narrow is here with our background music, and of course, students from William Paterson University. Thank you for joining us, and come back again. God bless you.
Father, I can tell you I've been mayor for 8 years and no one has ever said that I've given the word. By the way, to all the members of the choir, you're all now official employees of the Township of Wayne. Congratulations. Unbelievable. My name is Chris Bergano, and I have the honor and pleasure of being the mayor of the Township of Wayne. This morning, as I drove to work, I stopped at the Township's Memorial, which is located on 475 Valley Road, and you're welcome to join in quiet reflection there all day today, or any day that you choose. It was interesting to watch. I was not the only person there. Everyone was very quiet, because we all had our deep inner thoughts of what happened on that day, and we all remembered where we were, and how many lives it affected. And as I looked at the 8 monuments of the people from Wayne that perished that day, brought back that awful day for all of us that we will never forget. But today, I want to talk about something else for just a moment. For some reason in this country, it has become unpopular lately to be a police officer. And I'm going to tell you right now, I could not be more proud of the 114 men and women who serve the Wayne Township Police Department. Briefly for the other mayors, because I know the same feeling, and I know that former Mayor Romano would say the same thing. The worst call you can get is when a police officer or a fireman or a first aid squad member has been injured. It could be 4 o'clock in the morning. That is the worst call you receive as mayor. And unfortunately, it happens over the years. There's Robbie Simpson in the back and Joe Rooney in the back. I remember those calls. And others. Those are the worst. Or when a fireman is injured or something happens, those are the calls that we live with, and we hope the phone doesn't ring in the middle of the night. But unfortunately, it's the world that you live in, because you give so much for each each and one of our residents. So I want to say thank you to our police officers, to our fire department, our first aid squad. I don't know what our communities would be without our volunteers. Father, this is a beautiful Mass. Again, the choir, you're starting tomorrow, 7:30. 475 Valley Road. We'll have you singing council meetings, and everyone will be refreshed. Thank you. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Good afternoon. My name is Dominic Stampone. I have the great honor and pleasure to serve the people of Haledon as their mayor. I want to thank Father Luke, who I've known since my days at William Paterson, a couple of decades ago now. I want to thank also your concelebrants as well as Annunciation Church for hosting this event. I also want to let everyone know that I have no prepared remarks, which should come as a great relief to everyone, including Father Luke. So what I'd like to take this time to do, however, is just from the heart, my observations of what it means 14 years on after that day. I don't want to talk about 9/11 itself. We all have our individual memories. A lot of those memories leave a void. A lot of those memories have pain associated with them, and that's natural. In my life, it was shortly after I got married. My wife was expecting our first child, and we had just moved into our first home. So you had this vision of there being this incredible future, and that day tried to take that away from me and my family. And what I'd like to say is 14 years on, that did not happen. And what I'd like you to do is to look at the people who perished that day. Look at the innocent victims, the nearly 3,000 of them. That included people just going to work and commuting, obviously our first responders, our uniformed personnel. They also now include people who 14 years on have died of illnesses associated with the time thereafter. Look at those deaths, and then also look at the deaths of the suicide murderers. Why? Because in my mind, there are two sides of the same coin. As long as you remember and celebrate the lives of those that died for no reason, then the ones who tried and succeeded in killing people died in vain themselves. The murderers did not win a thing. 14 years later, if you as an American want to travel freely, do so. Do not be afraid because people with an ideology that you do not share say that you should be afraid. You should change the way you live. I don't embrace that. So for as long as you celebrate the lives of those that died and remember them, then the ones that killed them died in vain. If you got on a plane and tried to take out a building, the Pentagon or whatever other building, World Trade Center, the plane that was diverted in Pennsylvania, you as a hijacker died in vain. You will never be celebrated by any people that celebrates freedom, that celebrates diversity, that embraces their neighbor, that looks at someone and does not care where they came from or what religion they practice as long as they do believe. If you embrace those American ideals, then if you're the murderer, you and your memory will fade. You will never be embraced. You did die in vain. And that makes me very happy 14 years on, because the people that they killed will never be forgotten. We will not forget them. The people who got into fire trucks and got into police vehicles and raced to the scene, and some of those died, some of those people died, we will never forget them. They will be celebrated. That's why we're here today. Father Lou, I can't thank you enough for keeping this tradition alive, for you and your colleagues keeping this tradition alive. Haledon is proud to be a part of this community, and we thank you for celebrating our first responders. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Scott Romana, Assemblyman from the 40th District, and began the day looking at today's Bergen Record. For those folks who haven't seen it, the top article, the banner article, was written by Mike Kelly. And I raise it because it's about 9/11. But it's not a really positive article. It's about the fact that a lot of folks have become complacent about this day. Talks specifically about the ceremony in New York City, a ceremony that used to attract over 10,000 people. Mike Kelly mentions in his article that at the end of the ceremony, they're down to about 100 people left listening to the last names being read. Now, I don't raise that to be negative about that ceremony. I want to raise that from a positive standpoint and congratulate and thank Father Lou and everybody here in this clergy and everybody in this room. Because I've had the good fortune of being a part of this ceremony from the very first one. And Father Scurdy called us all to chapel in William Paterson's campus. And this crowd is bigger today, 14 years later, than it was at the first one. And that's a testament to everybody in our communities, joint communities, Haledon, North Haledon, and Wayne. 3,000 people lost their lives right in our backyard, and their lives were completely intertwined with us. As Mayor Pagano mentioned, we had 8 people in Wayne Township alone. Folks across the country don't really appreciate that, I think, as much as we do, because they weren't as close to this, and they may not have been associated with or related to or intertwined with the lives of those people that were lost. Monsignor mentioned a message of hope, and what we do here every year together is that. It's exactly that. It's hope. We give ourselves the energy to continue on in life and to fight for what is right. To salute the people who have given their lives, and most importantly, those who give their lives every day to protect us and serve us. We have the very best police officers around. We have the very best fire personnel and EMS personnel. I've been so proud to be a public servant for over 20 years now, and having had the opportunity to serve with all of the various services in one capacity or another. And I can tell you that we are very blessed. We are very blessed for all of their hard work, for their dedication, their integrity, and their service to all of us as citizens in our communities here. So I will close with that. It is a message of hope. And thanks. Thank you, Father Lou, for doing this, for bringing us here every year, and keeping this ceremony alive, and the lives of those who have lost in all of our minds and our hearts. God bless you.
And I agree, I am the best. And this is Father Peter. He's hosting this. I remember that.
Well, thank you, Father Peter and Lou, for continuing this ceremony every year. I'm Kathy Waldron, president of William Paterson University. On September 1st, classes started again, and 11,000 students tied up your streets with traffic, as you may have noticed. And I thank you for your patience. It happens every year. But every September 1st, when we introduce the new students to William Paterson University, I make a pledge to them and to their parents that the students attending William Paterson University are going to be safe. They're going to be secure, and they're going to be protected. First by the William Paterson University Police Force, but without Wayne, without Haledon, without North Haledon, we could not provide and protect and safeguard those 11,000 students. I could not make that pledge to them or to their parents. So I want to thank all of you for everything you do for the university during the year. I hope we don't impose too often, but there are 11,000 students. And as first responders, I want to thank all of you for being courageous and for everything you do for this community as well as the university. Some of you have spoken about how it's perhaps not so popular to be a policeman or woman in America, in the United States today. But I want to tell you that we have dozens of students who are studying criminal justice, who are joining our pre-police academy, who hope to make their careers in law enforcement, in first responder work, EMS, firemen, firewomen, in all of the services that keep our community safe. The next generation knows what their responsibility is going to be. They know they have to step up and fill in the shoes of those who go before them. and they know at times they will be called upon to put their lives at risk. You have taught them that by your devotion, by your actions, by your own courage. And so on behalf of all those students and all those future first responders, I want to thank the people present today who are doing that for our community and for our university. Thank you.
I've known Father Lou for a long time, and when he was at the Prince of Peace Chapel, I think I was on speed dial. Whenever he needed anything, he called me. And of course, you come through because no one tells Father Lou no. To the choir, my brother was a member of this choir about 20 years ago, and the choir is still an excellent choir 20 years later. And I want to tell you how proud I am of you. My brother went through the program, and he's okay. And I wish all of you the same success. Thank you. And I want to thank Father Lou for bringing them, because wherever Father Lou is, they are there. So to straighten that out, bring back the message, how proud we are of them. This is the hardest working drummer I've ever seen. I would have never pictured him as a drummer. About 9/11, as you all know, many people have said it better than any of us could. It's a day to always remember. It's a shame that many towns have stopped their services. North Haledon will have their 14th one tonight at 7 o'clock at the municipal building. You're all invited. We actually have a piece of stone from the Pentagon. I'd like to thank my chief of police, Robert Bracco, who actually went to Washington to pick it up. Chief, I can't see you, you're all in blue, but thank you, Chief, for actually going to the Pentagon and picking it up for us. We did talk about our police officers. I want to tell you that I've had the distinct privilege of hiring 13 of my 17 police officers. I know every mayor says the same thing, but I know I have 17 of the finest officers that there can be. Years ago, when I was just a resident, one of my children was choking on a gumball, and Chief Bracco, then a sergeant, was able to get the gumball out. And from that point on, I have been a strong supporter of the police department. Just recently, our police department was certified one of 150 departments in New Jersey. And that's a lot of credit to our chief, the captain, the lieutenant, and all the officers there. That means they do their job right, and that means that they're recognized for that. And yes, the present mayor said about how police officers are sometimes looked upon not in a good light. When you take the number of officers there are and the few that are singled out, it's really a testament to all of them. And I'd like to congratulate all of them, all the police officers, the fire departments. North Haledon has the same tradition with the volunteer fire department. No small town can afford a fire department. That's why we need volunteers. And I want to praise them, and of course our ambulance. A few years ago, my ambulance started as a North Haledon ambulance. It was the Haledon ambulance for 75 years. They do an outstanding job, and as the mayor, I know that firsthand. And I get many calls from the residents who say thank you, from the police, the fire, and the ambulance squad. And again, I want to thank Father Lou for continuing the tradition, and I want to thank all of you for coming out. As Mayor Stampone said, as long as we remember, we will always be united and be able to remember the people who perished on that horrific day. And I received a letter, I'm sure most people received a letter from the Port Authority last week, giving us all information. It was a very good letter, especially from the Port Authority that's under so much scrutiny right now. And it went on to discuss not only what happened on 9/11, but what's happened since. All the first responders that have been sick and perished. All the people down there who contracted cancer and other diseases. It's staggering to see the numbers. Much more than the 3,000 who perished. And that's a testament to those people who went down there that day. Many of my police officers in my fire department went there for the first few weeks, like many other departments went there. So I just want to thank everyone for coming, and especially I have to give a plug to Father Lou. If you saw my interview with him the other day, I was told exactly what to say.